Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Dogs Down South. It is Tuesday night. I might be interrupting your Hurricane Milton watch session, but I've been watching Hurricane Milton too much, so we're going to take 30, 45 minutes or so and talk about something different tonight. So if you're joining us, thanks for joining us. We are live, Dogs Down South, right now on YouTube. If you haven't done so, please go over and follow and like Dogs Down South on YouTube as well as TikTok. Everything you see up in that corner up there, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, we are on all of those. And then 24 hours later, we are on Apple Podcasts. Please forgive me, the Georgia Auburn episode 32 is going up this evening as well. I'm a little bit behind on that, so I do apologize, but good to be here tonight. Take a little bit of time off from Hurricane Milton prep. I know myself, I'm in the Tampa Bay area, so riding the storm out. So went live tonight because might not have power tomorrow night. So I'm going to add my man, Mr. Adam Fisher. What's up, Fish? How are you, buddy?
What's going on, man? Working
Hey,
on earning
man,
my meteorologist degree.
Yeah, man. Aren't we all? Jeez. I feel like, and I definitely don't want to talk about conspiracy theories, but man, somebody's out there playing a heck of a good PlayStation 5 game with hurricanes right now. Just kind of moving them around all over the United States. We don't like the game. Yeah, man, the game sucks. We don't like it, so you can back off whenever you're ready.
Yeah,
But
man.
anyways, man. Hey, we're going to take a little time out tonight and talk some football, man. How are you, man? You guys are just getting through Hurricane Helene as well. Are you guys prepping for this one as well?
Oh, of course, because I don't want to get caught with my pants down again. Like we went ahead and got gas, got the generator ready, got all the food, the snacks we're going to need to survive. Hopefully no days. Hopefully we don't need all this stuff, but I am definitely not gonna not prepare again. I promise you that.
Yeah. It's wild, man. It's less than 2 weeks. I know in my area we still have people that are trying to clean up from Hurricane Helene, and so all I will say is before we get started tonight is praying for all the state of Florida and anybody that could be affected by this hurricane. Like I said, it's probably coming within, I don't know, could hit dead on within 20, 30 miles. You don't have that discussion about where you want it to go or don't want it to go because I don't wish it upon anybody, but I will tell you that at some point in time, I think all of Florida is going to be affected by this massive storm. And so our prayers go out to everybody in wake of this storm. It's probably going to hit late tomorrow evening, early Thursday morning. So, hey, man, we're going to do this quick tonight. I might even lose some power. Who knows? But just wanted to get the show in this week. Obviously, we're going to recap really quick Georgia Auburn. Fish, really quick before we do that, the couple big news things out of Athens. We'll hit it really quick. I know Kirby didn't have much to mention about this, but obviously big news. Breaking news out of Athens today is Colby Young arrested on a misdemeanor child battery and assault on an unborn child. I have never heard of this charge at all. I did read the actual charge and the what was said happened, but it's basically Colby Young, an ex-girlfriend who is pregnant. Don't know if it's with his child. Have no idea. But something was mentioned of the fact that she showed up, didn't like the fact that he was talking to another girl on a phone. The petty arguments that young kids have, and there was some stuff went back and forth. Colby says, "Hey, look, I just, escorted her out of my room. I don't know what that looks like." She said there was some, in that escort, it was some grabbing, a lot of different stories, man. Obviously, right now he's not with the team, Kirby says, and it's a pending matter. You hearing kind of the same thing about this story, Fish?
Yeah, exactly. I actually heard some stuff on Feinbaum, and I heard something on the Bill Shanks show, a radio show up here that I listen to. He talks a lot of Georgia Braves, Hawks, Georgia Southern, Georgia sports, period. He said pretty much the same thing. It's basically a he said, she said kind of a situation. And, so I know it's pending, but I think it's also a huge distraction at the same time. It's got to be.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So
I
I
mean,
hope I was entitled to due process, and I hope that it's all false.
yeah.
I hope he didn't. I hope he didn't do it.
I hope he didn't either. And obviously, if he did, what does he deserve? And right, well, we're going to be quick with this. Obviously, it's a big loss, but we don't put our hands on women. It's not good character by men, period. And definitely somebody resembling, and representing the Georgia football team and the
Oh
University
no.
of Georgia. So,
See you
if
later.
it's proven true, see you later. If not, I'm hoping that it was just a disagreement, misagreement, and that this all kind of just gets blown over. But if it did happen, like I said, um,
Oh yeah.
Rich Man says,
I mean, I don't want to go too far into it either, but I mean, like speaking, this is something kind of different but the same. Daniel Harris. Did you
yeah,
hear about that? He got arrested, hasn't
yeah,
been exonerated or anything, right? And he was on the field the same week.
yeah, yeah.
What what kind of what is that? What kind of precedent does that set?
Well, here's the thing, man, and I'll tell you really quickly. It's what NILs do in the college football.
Yeah,
Technically, because of the fact that he is not allowed to receive NIL money or there's NIL things that can go on, if he's innocent until proven guilty, um, then there are some legalities there. I don't know much about it, but I have read a little bit into it with other experiences from other teams, and
yeah.
so you have to play it kind of weird. Other
Oh, I
things
know.
like but I think that had something to do with it. I mean, Daniel Harris fits into that category, and I have no idea. They've been very hush hush on it, and so I
Yeah,
think it's one of those things. If there's a he said, she said, and Daniel Harris is saying I'm innocent, and Colby Young is saying I'm innocent, then guess what? This is not one of those things where they were like, all right, I was drinking and driving, I was speeding, you were caught, you were seen, you were dialed in, you're like, there's obviously some he said, she said stuff. There's not enough proof for Kirby to look and go, you know, and Kirby could just sit him, but maybe there is NIL stuff in there that goes, well, in order for me to receive this, I have to do that. I have no idea,
yeah,
man. I can just tell you another reason why NIL is jacking up college football. But yeah, I agree with you, man. I mean, and people are going to continue to look at this and go, it's a bad look for Georgia football. I can tell you this. I did this today just a little bit, just peeked a little bit today because it's been a busy day with storm prep and things of that nature. But a lot of this stuff goes on. A lot of this stuff goes on that we don't really read about it. We see it because we follow a lot of sites, Georgia Bulldog sites. Not some of
yeah,
this stuff been in Austin. And I mean, I don't know if you guys know about it, but there were some Baylor players about 3 weeks ago that were all caught speeding. I mean, there's some speeding cases out there that were right in the same ballpark. It happens in every campus. We see it more because we're following Georgia news, Georgia players, things of that nature. But I
yeah,
know Baylor had some things that happened. I know the University of Tulsa had some things that happened with some arrests that were made as far as vandalism, looting. Like it was a lot of stuff, man. Like
yeah,
preseason wise, and you had to go look for it. We see it because we follow it, right? So
yeah,
honestly, at the end of the day, I just hope it all blows over. If they did it, they didn't take the punishment. If they didn't, then and we've seen it before, man. I mean, there's so many things where we want justice for whatever happened to the person, whether it was like we said, the unborn baby or the woman. Yes, justice if it happened. Um,
yeah.
we're not. I can tell you on this podcast, we're not judges and jurors right here. We maybe
No,
the juror, but I'm in Florida, so I'm not getting called to Georgia. So maybe you, but not me. Um, anyways, but let's really quick. Let's recap also, and then we'll hit a couple of headlines. But obviously, Georgia Auburn coming off a really good victory against Auburn. A lot of stuff coming out from this weekend, and we're going to keep it really short tonight because we got to keep I just want to make sure that we get to some good points tonight before
gotcha.
something could go down. But talk really quick, Fish. Like, what did you think about the Georgia Auburn game? Just in general, a lot of talk about. There's some people that are really happy, and there's some people that are like, oh, they still got some disgruntledness about what they saw Georgia Auburn.
I think Peyton Thorne seems to always play his best game when he plays us. I mean, he wasn't great, but last year he looked a lot. He looked really good last year, like in our game, and then again this year. I don't think did he throw any interceptions?
He did not.
See, so that's the first time all year that he's done that.
Right. Yeah.
So, that's my point. But anyway, I wasn't impressed, but I wasn't unimpressed. I'm ready for us to play a complete game, because we still haven't.
Yeah.
Trevor Etienne stepped up a little bit. He was a pleasant surprise. He was good. A couple of drop passes here and there. Our tight end play is less than stellar at the moment, I think. What a
Minus
letdown
Lawson Lucky.
Irisec's been.
Minus Lawson Lucky, man. I
I
think
like
Lawson
him.
Lucky is
That's
the
right.
bright spot in that tight end room right now.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And
Just one catch, but
as far as Delt and Irisec go, wow.
Yeah.
Very big letdowns. And I know Delt's been battling some injuries, or he's been kind of banged up, or he's had some stuff going on. But still, you'd like to see a little more production, because that's what we were promised and that's what we hoped.
Right.
Going into the season, and a lot of the things that we hoped coming into the season haven't panned out quite the way we envisioned. With all the optimism we had in the preseason and everything. So, we did get better a little bit in some areas. We improved a little bit. Things were better. Things were, easier to watch. We didn't cringe as much.
Right.
Watching the offense. The defense is solid. Our defense is legit. That's one thing I did learn. If I learned anything this weekend, it's that our defense is legit.
Yeah. Well, that says it all. I mean, and I'll read your comment, Rich, man. We did improve. That's all you can say. Nothing stellar. I'm a not so fast, the not so stellar. Let me just tell you something. There was a lot of things that when you combine 2 games, even if you combine 3 games, Kentucky included, you look at now, and we're going to talk about this. I don't want to hit it too early, but you look at Vanderbilt beating Alabama. You look at Kentucky beating Ole Miss last week. You look at Missouri getting beat by Texas A&M. You look at the late game, Tennessee, obviously losing their game. And so when you look at all this and you start to scratch your head and go, I mean, some of the podcasts that I listened to that I had to cringe and shut it off because they were truthful about what was going on with Georgia for a while. I turned on with pride this week, and it was a good thing because, Georgia's back into that. Well, maybe the SEC is just that tough. I said this. The SEC is the best conference. You said it. I mean, we've all said it in some capacity. SEC is the best conference in college football. It is tough sledding, man. But some of these athletes that are not even playing in the game on SEC teams could be very viable players at some of these other schools. And you look at the dumpster fire of the other conferences. I mean, you look at the promise of USC. Jeez, man. I mean, you look at the fact that, I mean, guys, it's just like we talked about with the news the other day of when we looked at like how we looked on tape and this and that and the other, and how we played against Kentucky. Well, guess what? Turn the news on outside of Georgia. Listen to the Ohio State fans. They're like, how in the world did Michigan State hang with us for 2.5 quarters? We should have beaten them by that way earlier than that. Michigan State is absolutely horrendous, and they look like. I mean, everybody's going to always get your best game. I'm reading your comment there. Brooks diagnosed mechanics is saying that he's hurt. That is probably why we're not quite as explosive. Yeah, there might be some edge to that. I do think Beck made some really great throws. I think a couple of ones were like, whoa, like what is that? But the thing about Beck is, man, is like the thing that you look at it with Beck, and you saw it again in Auburn, is he still makes great decisions. He didn't against Alabama, and I do think that some of the main reasons were because we couldn't figure out how to block Alabama for the first 2 quarters. Like we couldn't figure out how to block them. And so it's like when you got it in your head, I mean, we used to play backyard football, Fish. We used to play and you like 1,002. Bro, it's hard to make a throw when they're coming on three Mississippi, right? You're like, oh, I gotta rush it.
That internal clock starts going a lot faster, and your brain is trying to make a rapid decision. And
and so
those guys got to be quick.
Yeah, second half, it wasn't about that. We knew what we were doing. It was a throw. He was going to have the opportunity. It was a pass block. I mean, we could get into all that, but I think when you look at some things like tackling, I know Richmond's always high on tackling. I thought we tackled really well. Couple of duds. I mean, Could Jarquez Hunter have been caught and they don't score? Yeah. But Jarquez Hunter, in my opinion, I'm not saying we can, we can look at this really closely, but Jarquez Hunter is one of the top 3 running backs in the SEC, in my opinion. I mean,
Best
that's
running
a
back
really
in the
good running
SEC.
back. I would. What'd you
I
say?
think he's the best running back in the SEC.
Okay. I was a little hard to go that far, but I'm glad you said that because that might
He's
be for
good.
me too. I think Jarquez Hunter is probably the best running back in the ACC. So he's going to score one, right? But Peyton Thorne, I mean, we blitzed. I felt like we blitzed in the right times. We hung back in the right times. We held Peyton Thorne. I think we had a really great game plan on defense. I think on offense, I would have loved to see us be a little more explosive, like we talked about.
And we
As
scored
far
on the
as
opening drive, right?
yeah,
Didn't
but
we get a
the
touchdown
deep
in the
ball.
first quarter?
Yeah, the deep ball. I mean, Arian blew the deep ball again, and it was just it's just troubling to see that every time. But I, I personally think I agree with you. The defense looked pretty sharp. I think the offense had a little bit left on the plate, and I think special teams did what special teams does. We don't let punts get returned, and we don't lose the game in special teams. Those are the two things that are happening in our league. So, with that being said, I mean, we won't stick on Auburn too long. I loved the fact that, I mean, Hugh Freeze right now, it's very hard to understand how he has the 4th best recruiting class in the nation right now, because either it's getting ready to go downhill or I don't know what it's waiting on, because he's having a hard time. Maybe he's having a hard time, man, even being able to he's going to have a hard time keeping these players that are on roster this year. Not only happy money wise and playing wise, but I just don't know, man. He's a throw you under the bus kind of coach. I never thought we would get here with Hugh Freeze, because I like Hugh Freeze. I don't know what's going on. He looks like an unhappy man on the sideline, dude. And 2-5 will do that to you. Aren't they 2-5? What's their record now? 2-4.
2-4.
2-4. Sorry, I gave them their loss next week already. Sorry. Who do they play next week? We're gonna pick it, but I don't know.
Who does Auburn play next week? Rush can't hear me.
But we're gonna pick it later on. But I mean, he just looks unhappy. No offense, like I don't even hate to put it on this on him show. He looks like half the time, man, he drank a 6-pack before he hit the field. Like he just looks mad. He looks worn out. He looks. Yeah. It's just he doesn't look good.
He had a scowl on his face 90% of the time. They showed him on TV.
Yeah. I also think that Peyton Thorne on that 4th down play, I think he got really pissed at Peyton Thorne, because I think Peyton Thorne just went off the reserve and just didn't run the play that was called. I think he ran a completely opposite play. I don't even think it was anything that they talked about. I think he checked into something that was not even on the map. So Florida's got problems, man. We're going to look at them in our power rankings, but we'll put them to bed. A good win against Auburn, 8 in a row, I think, for Auburn. That's always a good mark. A lot easier than last year. So that's always a good mark. And obviously, we're going to hop in. One thing I do want to talk about before we move on, though, Kirby called out the fans this past weekend. And I don't know about you, but some fans there's a little bit of a 3-way mix going on. And you got to understand, Kirby Smart's not sitting on the sideline remembering, well, these guys are in the heat of the battle. Kirby Smart's not going, look, we just had a hurricane. Some of these guys don't have homes. Some of these guys are struggling to this, struggling to that. And you start getting these things and going, well, does Kirby understand, what he's asking people to do? Yeah, he understands. He understands that the reason why Alabama won that game last week was because of their fans. 28-0 happened because of their fans, because of the atmosphere. So that's all he's saying. Like, I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but what do you think about that, him calling out the fans, Fish?
I think that's just what Kirby does. Kirby talks about the fans all the time. He begs them. He pleads with them to get there early, show up, be loud. He didn't do a lot of that this week, before the Auburn game. He really didn't. But normally he does before a big home game. Like, remember the Tennessee game? Year before last.
Yes.
They came in.
I went to that game. Yeah.
The crowd. Yeah, you were there. The crowd was legit. Like, that's the kind of atmosphere he wants, because that's what he knows we're capable of. Yeah. And that's a big part of that helps teams win. I don't care what you say. Yeah. Like, the 12th man is huge. It's a big advantage. And we didn't have it Saturday. There was just a very mild mannered crowd.
Yeah. I agree. I mean, I think what he was talking about the most was there was not much of an atmosphere for them to be. I think he felt a certain way coming out of Tuscaloosa, and he didn't feel the same way on that day. It's like, but I'll be honest with you, man, that's kind of crowds all over the. I mean, yeah, I mean, he's what he said was right, but a lot of these teams are just now getting this, you know, they're just not getting this feeling. That's why their stadiums are like this. Why is Cal so loud against Miami? Well, because Cal doesn't get game day, at Berkeley and once every 8 years, So yeah, it's going to be
Yeah.
loud. It's going to be crazy. And so, do I think we may take for granted some of those things?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's another good one. Rich man is recruiting. I think we take recruiting for granted sometimes when you come into those places. I think it'll be better. I think a lot of it was stemmed off of one thing, and that was when you look up in in that stadium, 2.5 quarters into the game, there was not a lot of fans left. And Saban did it last year, and if what Saban did helped what came later and what has continued to ring out this year, then well done by Kirby Smart, because you have to be able to come home. I mean, especially the road games we have this year, you have to be able to come home and have a little bit of an advantage, because
Yeah.
we're going other places, and maybe we're getting lackadaisical. Maybe we're getting a little bit, as you call us, spoiled. We just
Yeah.
expect to have a crowd. And we're like, oh, well, we'll have that crowd against Tennessee, and it's like, all right, do you guys remember South Carolina from a few years back? You guys remember Vanderbilt from a few years back when my boy from Penn State was there, Franklin was there? I mean,
Right.
we've had those games where we just go, oh, we're going to win it. We're good. We're just going to be spectators. I mean, this hurricane made me cancel everything I was planning to go do this week. I was going to be in Athens, and I was going to be one of those fans that I'm like, look, I'll answer the call, Kirby. But I don't know what kind of atmosphere would have been this week, because everybody looks at Mississippi State. We're getting ready to preview them, but they go, all right, Mississippi State technically probably dead last in the SEC. Doesn't have a lot going on, but let me tell you something. They went into Texas, and they had Texas on the ropes for a couple quarters.
Yeah.
And so it's any given. I mean, we've showed it this past weekend. It's any given Saturday for an SEC upset. We could be
Yeah.
Vanderbilt this Saturday if we don't look out. I'm sorry, we could be Alabama if we don't
Yeah.
look out. And it's a team effort, including the fans. So, I mean, I agree with what Kirby said. And if you're butthurt about it, you know what? Don't go to the games. Give your tickets up to somebody who wants to cheer. And if you're alumni and
Exactly.
you just go in there and you just, I don't know, man. Like, number one, if you're alumni and you're selling your tickets to the best bidder, and it happens to be like I don't know, the opposite team, you suck anyway. And number two, like at the end of the day, um, if you're going to that game, like, don't be a stump on the log. I know you got your seats because you're alumni, and bravo to that, but at least go clap, stand up, make a noise, do something. Don't sit there like you got popcorn and you're watching, the next great movie to come out of the theaters. Anyway, off my
Yeah.
soapbox. Let's grade the team. We won't go into every, we won't break out too far into this and go into everything, but let's grade. We'll do offense, defense, special teams. I myself for the Auburn game thought we improved a lot in the running back play. We didn't, you saw little hints of Frazier, you saw ETN. I do think, I mean, you're not going to see what you saw from ETN was a breakout game, because you're never going to see Georgia, weaves those backs in and out. And we saw four running backs play, and
Yeah.
ETN had what, almost 90 yards of rushing, or it was all purpose. He had over 100 yards of all purpose, I think, but it was
Yeah.
about 90 yards of rushing. So I
He
think that's
looked
a great
real good
performance.
Saturday.
Yeah, I think great performance from ETN. I thought wide receivers made some drops, but I also thought they made some really great catches. I thought Dylan Bell looked great. I thought
Yeah.
Dom looked great. Dom looked great, except for the fact that I don't know if you go back and look at some of ETN's runs. He definitely doesn't block like Arian does. Arian doesn't. Dom doesn't block like Arian, and Arian doesn't catch like Dom. Like,
Yeah. No. If you could fold them in half and make them like one person,
for the
be
life of me,
great.
dude. So
Heck yeah.
overall, and tight end play, I agree with you earlier. So for me, and I'll ask you yours, but for me, I think honestly, it was a B plus performance for me. Like, it wasn't anything stellar, but it wasn't. I mean, B plus this earlier in the year, against an Auburn team that is. I mean, Hugh Freeze is right. If he doesn't blow the game, I mean, a couple of Auburn's a touchdown and a possession away from being, instead of being 2-3 coming into that game, they could have definitely been more like 3-1. So I give them like a B plus. What do you give the offense as far as grading them out for Georgia Auburn?
For Georgia Auburn, I'd say a solid B plus too. We learned a little bit about a few people. I think Dom Lovett needs to get the ball more,
Okay.
but I don't know if he's just not getting open or what's going on with that. I think he needs the ball more. He was our number one receiver, right? After Ra went
Yeah.
down, he was the number one. The running backs looked a lot better. That was the saving grace. We gotta do better in the first half, man. Like
Yeah.
we got I'm sitting here watching the game. There's a minute left in the first half. It's 7-3. They got this thing up on the board on the screen right now that says our first half drives versus FBS opponents this season. And we have 2 touchdowns, 3 field goals, 11 punts, and 3 turnovers in the first half against quality opposition this year. That's not good. Like, I didn't realize that, and I know we're just talking about Auburn, but that caught my eye. And that's huge.
Yeah.
You know, Kirby wanted to get off to a hot start, and we did. We got a first quarter touchdown, which is something we haven't done all season.
Yeah.
So minus Tennessee Tech.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was good, but that seems like it's a problem to me.
Yeah. No, that's well said. I mean, I totally agree with that. Totally agree with that. As far as defense, I agree with the defense a little bit higher. I thought the defense had a pretty good day. Thought we tackled pretty well. Thought we covered pretty well. I thought when I thought we were zigging when Auburn was zagging. I think we really had them a little bit confused. I would have to give solid A minus for me for the defense. The reason why, I mean, you can still see we're banged up on that front line. So honestly, like it would be nice to have a healthy Michael, and we didn't have Smile, but we had you could tell we were missing that Javon edge pressure. I
Yeah,
think if we have that in the game and we have a healthy Smile, I think we grade out a little bit higher. And I thought for the
yeah,
most part, I think the one secondary person that's having the most issues right now, and a lot of times with him, I think it's just being out of position. It's how he reacts to what happens to him, and that's Dylan Everett. Like he's a great cover guy, and he's improved a lot. But I just feel like when something happens to him, his recovery stuff is just not very well thought out. Saw a couple
yeah,
times where that Lambert Smith guy, he just ran a straight comeback, and man, Everett looked like a hot mess trying to recover back from man defense, and those are going to hurt against receiver. I mean, that's a really good receiver. I mean, obviously Lambert was at Penn State last year. Really good receiver. I would put him in a top tier of receivers in the SEC right now as far as numbers and athleticism. But he just looked very discombobulated. No, I'm not saying he looks bad. I'm just saying sometimes when he does get caught, I just don't want him that to hurt us for a TD in some of those areas because he's really out of place in
yeah.
some of those areas. But he has been one of our better tacklers in the secondary this season. So it's like
I
a
agree.
Jekyll and Hyde thing. So A minus for me. I don't know what do you got at Matt Fish? What do you got the defense at?
Given the attrition we have on the front end, with our front seven, I'm gonna say an A because our depth is like our backups, our 2 and 3s. They're stepping up, man, and they're keeping us in ball games,
Yeah, I
especially
agree.
in the first half. They're keeping us from getting way, way, way behind.
Yeah, I agree.
Because our offense isn't giving us anything in the first half, at least. Second half is night and day, man. Like the adjustments that are being made at halftime, whatever song Beck's listening to in his headphones or whatever Kirby's saying, it's working. But
Right.
say that before the game.
Yeah.
Do that before the game. Like watch more film. Get better prepared. I don't know what's going on, but yeah, solid A for the defense.
Yeah, and the prep for me is, I mean, it was at Alabama, it was definitely the defense, but the offense as well. I mean, I think we realized, and I think what we realized is what Vanderbilt realized. I mean, wow, do we give them a good tape? Because when Vanderbilt, I will tell you what stood out to me for what really stood out to me in the first half was what Vanderbilt was allowed to do because Pavia's legs. We didn't have that, right? So when you can take away an entire element, kind of like Milrow when we were playing them, when you can take away an entire element or add an entire element of the offense that can break the game, it's hard, man. And Pavia was that. Like he was the game breaker, but he was
Did
also
he
being
just
able.
put himself on the Heisman board?
I mean, I I think people's choice. Yeah, I think people's choice, but I don't know, man. I mean, your team's got to do well too. We got to see if he's got a couple of more of those in him. But is Vanderbilt? Do you put them in the playoff bracket right now? No, you don't. But I do think, man, what Vanderbilt has shown this year because they're Jekyll and Hyde too. I mean, they go and beat Alabama at home, and then they go and lose to Georgia State.
Yeah,
In the 1996 Olympic Stadium. So I couldn't tell you, brother, about that one. But I
yeah.
just think the addition of the legs on Pavia really had Alabama. And one thing that was said by two different people, a podcaster a podcaster and a broadcaster. The podcaster said, you can really tell the toll that Georgia took to Alabama those last three quarters. Really, Alabama only owned one of those quarters, and you can really
First quarter,
tell
big
what
time.
Georgia physically was able to do to Alabama because Alabama apparently had a couple more dinged up players that came away from our game than people thought. And also, man, they just looked a little tired. They had that bye week after, the game getting up to us. And I think they looked a little bit, I mean, they did not look like the Alabama defense we saw. They did not. And then Milroad and that offense did not look like the offense that we saw either. And you can't tell me that Vanderbilt's defense is better than. I mean, I rank them out nowhere close to Georgia right now
Dude,
in
Milrow
the
was just
defensive
standing
category.
back there in the pocket sometimes, dude. Some of those sacks. He was
Right,
just standing back there.
right.
Like not bouncing around, not anything, not on his toes, not ready to take off. Like
Yeah,
he wasn't scanning the field. He was watching one guy. You could see it. Like
yeah. It looked
laser
very
vision
flat.
on one guy. He was just standing there, and then somebody would come up and boom.
Yeah, yeah. It looked
Like,
very flat, man.
yeah,
Not the best showing. Um, looked really flat. But I think that's the avenue they had. And the second thing that the broadcaster said was, I'm sorry, the podcaster said is, you know, they kind of went back and was like, I was really looking, was Georgia or Alabama the pretender, and was Georgia the were they real? They went back and kind of recollected and said, honestly, they feel like Alabama's more of the pretender because if you look at it, Alabama only really has only played for one quarter in the past two games, and for seven they've been owned by two teams.
yeah.
So you look at that and you go, is Alabama pretending? Like, how do they bounce back? We'll see. I mean, we definitely will see because they still have some games on their schedule, obviously against some teams that are looking a little less. I mean, it's looking a little more like a good matchup, in my opinion. But let's preview Mississippi State. We're going to do some power rankings and we're going to pick the games. Real quick preview for Mississippi State. I mean, unfortunately, I will open with this. I mean, Mississippi State can be our Vanderbilt on Saturday, and the reasons why is because Jeff Levy still has a very good offensive mind. He's a great schemer. He has a great offense. I don't know if it's fully ready for the SEC yet and for this team yet, but I think that's some of the reasons why it hasn't shown in the record. But obviously, you look at some of the players that have stood out. Quarterback Blake Shapen, 74 for 108 for 975 yards, 8 TDs. What stands out to me is as much as he throws the ball, he's almost got a 70% completion percentage, right? Kelly Akari was a player that honestly was supposed to be the go-to receiver this year, and haven't seen much of Kelly Akari because he's been a little been under under the injury on the injury cloud most of the time. However, wide receiver Kevin Coleman, 28 receptions, 344 yards, has clearly by 150 yards has been their go-to guy. I'm pretty sure if I think Georgia, as far as spread offenses, I think we prepare really well against the spread, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So it's a strength of ours. The thing I noticed about the defense, and this is what I noticed about Auburn, I don't know if you remember me saying this, but Johnny Daniels, running back, 47 carries, 233. One of the big reasons why I think that Mississippi State has not really dialed in to what they can do with that offense because there's no threat of the run. And as we know, um, the threat of the run is what makes that spread offense so potent. And so I think that's one of the things that's holding them back this year. When you look at the defense, the key thing you notice is when your top two tacklers are your free safety and your strong safety, that just means there's a lot of things that are getting through to the third level, whether it be a run, whether it be a pass. But you got your strong safety and your free safety that have combined for 40 solo tackles this year, and they both lead the team in tackles. The closest one to them is Stone Blanton, which is their, you know, better of their starting linebackers, who has 9. And so what that means to me is a lot of things are getting to that third level in the pass as well as the run, and so that's not good to see. And I think we saw the same thing with Auburn. But I'm going to ask you, Fish, but a little short preview. But what's been the main reason you think Mississippi State hasn't gotten the job done this year? I mean, obviously their record is right now they're 1-4 and 0-2 in the SEC. Like, what's holding Mississippi State back?
First year coach jitters, or is he second year? He's first year, right?
This is first year for Jeff Lebby. Yeah.
Yeah. There's always a learning curve, and he honestly, the man wasn't left with much.
Right.
A lot of people transferred out. Went to do other things. I'll tell you one bright spot for them, though. Their best wide receiver is better than our best wide receiver, or has more catches and yards than our leading wide receiver.
Yeah.
Our leading wide receiver wasn't even a starter. He's like 4th on the depth chart in spring. That's Arian Smith, Mr. Drops, Mr. Hot Hands.
Yeah.
So, that's who does that say more about them or us? I don't know. But I don't know, that their schedule hasn't been great either. That can hold them back. Plus, I don't know, just not outstanding front 7 play for sure. Like, when your safeties are leading your team in tackles, that doesn't say that's not good. Like, that means that they're getting just manhandled up front.
Right.
And it's kind of real hard, especially in the SEC, to win games like that, where it's real physical in the trenches.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Biggest thing for me is, and I'm a quick comment on this. I personally, for me, I'll tell you how to fix Arian Smith. Yes, he's the fastest guy on the field, but we've proven time and time again he's not a deep threat. He's just not a deep threat. So you're trying to put a round peg in a square hole. Go back, use him how we use Isaiah McKenzie. Use him how we use Isaiah McKenzie. Throw him the tunnel screen. Put him in the backfield. Give him some end arounds. Give him some screens. Just use him how he's able to be used, and then throw that ball to some receivers. I mean, make those. And I know it's we're talking about Colby Young here, but London Humphreys has been a guy that's been, I just think we need to throw his way more. And we need to give him more opportunities. I think there's guys out there we just need to give more opportunity to. Anthony Evans.
If he changed his number to 84, you would swear Ladd McConkey was out there.
Mm-hmm.
That dude's pretty good, man. He needs the ball.
Give him some more targets, man. Stop throwing Arian Smith the ball for 50 yards. Even if you put it on a dot, like we've proven time and time again. And I love the kid, man, but it's a toss-up. It's a 70% chance he's not going to catch the ball.
You're absolutely
stop
right.
Stop it.
Absolutely right.
Just say we don't have a deep threat. I'm fine with that. But stop sitting there acting like we do have one. Use him for what he can do. And you know what? Isaiah McKenzie was the same way. He wasn't a deep threat, but you get the kid the ball in space, and he was an absolute burner. Reminds you of somebody? And he blocks. And he returns kicks. I mean, just saying that. Some things that that Mississippi State presents. I think Jeff Lebby's offense is very, very intricate. I think it has a lot of moving pieces, and for it to tick really well, first year coach, you mentioned it, is still got the freshman blues with the offense a little bit. When your secondary has the most tackles, it's got to be something going on right there. That's not helping anything. Inability to be balanced. I think balance in the SEC. Even in the spread, and we've seen some spreads happen. One of the better spread teams was a couple years back when Jalen Milroe. I'm so sorry, I called Jalen Milroe. Jalen Hurts was at Alabama, and they had a little bit of a balanced spread run attack that they had. I thought that was a really good offense. Bill O'Brien had that offensive going, so balance helped that really be potent, though. I think you still have to have some of that in the SEC. And we're also showing that just because you have a spread offense doesn't mean that it's not going to be always top dog. We're seeing some struggling spread offenses in the pack in the Big Ten, struggling, inability to be balanced, and then recruiting. I think you got to give him a little bit to recruit. He was not left much. Everybody left. He basically said, I got Blake Shapen coming from Baylor, and I got Kelly Akari coming with me, and that's what I'm banking on. And Blake Shapen's trying to just fight through every day, and Akari's just trying to get to the field. So, but I am saying we cannot overlook Mississippi State. I think this could be our Vanderbilt. I think what you want to see on Saturday, Lord willing, I get a chance to see it if I have power. It'll be the first Georgia game that I would have watched in some capacity in a long, long, long time. It'd be
Oh
pretty.
yeah.
It sucked too that I was supposed to see it live, but and I
Oh,
might not see it at all.
oh,
So
last week or that Bama game, we had the TV hooked up to the generator.
well,
Like, that's
I'm
how
gonna have
we
to
watched
get.
it.
I mean, I'm at the bum a generator, bro. I'm gonna have to bum one from somebody. Somebody got to give it up, man.
All right.
Uh, yeah, man. So they could definitely be our Vanderbilt. I would just say, just watch out. This could be our Vanderbilt, aka Rat Poison, before we play Texas, which was announced 7:30 in Austin. Our rewind game time that we played against Alabama. I'm hoping that we rewind and look at ourselves and go. I don't want to get to Texas yet, but let's just put it this way: we are set up again for the possible redo. Let's hope the redo this time is in our favor because I'm pretty much guaranteeing you're gonna see game day in Austin next week. Um,
Well, of course.
Power rankings. I'm going to go through about in groups of three. You can tell me what you think about these picks. I got Mississippi State coming in at 16, 1-4, 0-2. I think, no offense, I'm not going to call them the worst team in the SEC. I hate to look at them like that. I still feel like the SEC is very competitive. It's the best. It's the best conference in college football, and I think our bottom three or four teams could beat a lot of teams in the Big Ten and the pack what am I saying, the Big 10, uh the Big 12, and whatever is left of the Pac 12. I don't even know. A lot of these teams could beat it. So I have Mississippi State there for bringing in the rear. Haven't broke the haven't broke the win category for the SEC. The next I have, although they're playing better, but remember I based this off of two teams meeting on a neutral site. So you know I think this neutral site. So I have Florida at 15, 3-2, 1-1. They're playing a little bit better ball. Um, I was very
Won
surprised
two
at
in
the
a row.
UCF. What's that?
They won two in a row.
Yeah, I was very surprised at the win versus UCF, and so
Me
I
too.
will say humbly surprised. I think we can hold off on if Gus Malzahn is the next coach, and maybe we put that to bed. I don't know. Um, maybe my odds are on Lane Kiffin now. I don't know.
Maybe he let him win. Maybe he let him win, so help his recruiting out next year.
Maybe, maybe, maybe. Maybe we know something they don't know. 14, I got Auburn at 14, 2-4, 0-3. I think Auburn may could beat Florida on I looked at two coaches that if you told me Hugh Freeze was on the hot seat this year, or Florida, and I just Billy Napier's probably on the hot seat a lot more than Hugh Freeze. So that's the only reason I kind of got him there. And then
Yeah,
I'll let
I
you
mean,
chime in. 13, I got South Carolina, man. Started out really hot. I mean, 3-2 still is not a terrible overall record, but 1-2 and just really dropped some games the last two. I mean, Ole Miss came in and really just it wasn't much they did right. What do you like about 16 through 13 in there? You got them kind of shifted around in that. You got somebody that's not even close to being in that four.
I, I think the Vanderbilt win this week is what catapulted them up as high as they are right now. I like
Yeah,
them where they're at though. I really do. Um, I think that's right. Maybe flip flop Auburn and South Carolina, even though South Carolina got that big win over Kentucky and Auburn hasn't really beat anybody. It's worth a flip, but I think Auburn's defense alone and Jarquez Hunter would put them over the edge against South Carolina because South Carolina, if Lenore Sellers doesn't play, who are they? Like
right.
they're very vanilla, you know. And if he's hurt or whatever, if he's banged up, he doesn't make it to that game for whatever reason. Then I would say Auburn has a better team overall than them.
Okay, fair
That's the
enough.
only problem. That's the only thing I see. I would flip flop South Carolina and Auburn.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I agree. 12, I have Missouri 1-1, 4-1. Big upset loss to Texas A&M. Was it an upset though? I mean, Texas and Connor Wigman did whatever they wanted to with the ball.
Hey,
They ran the ball at will. Missouri's defense is atrocious. At least
Missouri
they
was
look
a missed
atrocious.
field goal. Vanderbilt's kicker is the only reason they didn't beat Missouri.
Right.
They had that. They had him dead to rights. He just missed a
Mm-hmm.
field goal.
Mm-hmm. I think Missouri could easily be one could be a field goal away from being in that bottom four,
Yep.
with maybe South Carolina and Auburn being ahead of them. I don't know, but Missouri has not. I mean, that offense, even they have all the studs on offense. I think what's missing in Missouri is two things. Number one, that defense isn't as potent as normal. They usually have a very stingy defense, and the run game for Missouri is not there. They don't have the run game to balance out. Balance in the SEC is crucial. You don't hear Kirby talk about it for just for the crap of it. I mean, there's no balance. The balance they're sitting there saying is going to happen is Brady Cook on his legs. Brady Cook is he's no Jalen Milrow. So I think what you're seeing is an atrocious defense with no go-to playmaker, and then you got playmakers everywhere, but they can't take them serious running the ball. So they're just going, look, we're gonna double burden. We're gonna put our best player on Weiss, and we're gonna say Brady Cook beat us, and he's not beating anybody right now. So I got him at
No,
12.
I don't think
11,
so.
I got Oklahoma 1-1, 4-1. I like Oklahoma. The only thing I would say is I don't think they play. We'll see what Oklahoma is about and where they sit this week when they play Texas. But I think they're could easily have had a loss to Auburn. Should have had a loss to Auburn. And that's why I have them as low as I have them. And then I have Arkansas coming in maybe a little low. I don't know. They still have a little to prove, but big win for Arkansas. I mean, is Sam Pittman off the hot seat fish or what? Is he good?
They're riding the hype train right now, man. I
But
don't
is he
know.
good? Is he good?
I, I, that's hard to say because what if they tank the rest of the season? Then that one big win doesn't really matter anymore.
I
He's
don't know
just
if
got
their
to
schedule
he's got to
presents.
sustain it. He's
See
got to
here,
keep it up.
I don't know if their schedule presents it. Let me try to pull this real quick. I mean, I just it's gotta the schedule's gotta like I'm gonna remove you real quick and look at this. Nope, add you back. Man, that's really small. Our viewers can see it, but I don't think I can. Hold on one second. Let's see here. It's so crazy, man. And, oh, here we go. Here we go. Okay, so let's. So when you look at what Arkansas has left, so they just beat Tennessee. You got LSU at home, Mississippi State's a win, Ole Miss at home, Texas at home, Louisiana Tech's a win. Missouri, I think, is now possibly a really great game. So yes, they're not going to win out, but I think LSU could possibly be fake. We'll know this week if they're fake.
Harold Perkins
And
is out
then
too.
and I think Texas is real. I think Missouri's fake. I mean, who knows, man? I think there's for Arkansas. I think bowl eligibility is definitely something that's possible now. And
Yeah,
I think Pittman.
definitely
I
playing
think
for that.
Pittman's. I think the hot seat. I think Bobby Petrino has. I mean, we said it. We're like, he's either going to be the best hire for them or the worst hire for them. And so far, him and Pittman are zigging and zagging, man. And
The
Arkansas could
offense
have.
looks a lot better.
Yeah, they could have had another win on that slate too. I think didn't Arkansas lose to Oklahoma State and should have won that game?
That's
I'm not
right.
mistaken.
They had them. They had them. They gave it up.
Have them beat their rights, man. Had them beat their rights. I got Kentucky right ahead of them. I like Kentucky's defense, 1-2, 3-2. I just think that they have a little bit better defense than Arkansas. I mean, offenses are probably way off. We haven't seen Kentucky's offense show up. Kentucky has played Vanderbilt this week, so God, I mean, is that Mark
game
Stoops?
all of a sudden got so much more interesting.
Right. It's like his Stoops now. I mean, DeBoer is not going to, he's not playing for his job next week, but is
Let
Stoops,
Kentucky mess around and lose that game. See how fast he is on the hot seat.
Right? Yeah. Jesus. I like Kentucky's defense, though. I haven't made the pick yet, but 8, I got Vanderbilt. Yeah, they move up a long way, man. Diego Pavia looked good. The defense looked good. Clark Lay looked good. I don't know what they're doing, man. There's not a lot of 4 and 5-star recruits over there, but he's got them playing together. He's got them playing passionate. But Pavia and some of those guys he brought over from New Mexico State, man, they're just
Coach
zigging
of
and
the year, man.
zagging. Tim, I think
Coach
his
of the
name
year.
is Tim, the offensive coordinator for Vanderbilt, Tim Burke or Brown or something like that, man. He's looking like I mean, that's the OC for New Mexico State, too. I mean, Clark Lee just said, man, I'm going to get a W. I want the OC. I want Pavia. I want the receiver. He
New
said it. He's
Mexico
like, we do
State wasn't
everything
an
to get a
easy
W.
dub last year.
What's that?
Like they weren't an easy dub last year. Watch New Mexico State. They beat Auburn last year. That wasn't
Yeah,
that wasn't a guaranteed W last year. They're not bad. That dude, he's not terrible.
yeah, I agree. Really quick,
Hugh
we'll fly
Freeze
through
likes
this.
enough to hire him. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. I remember those. I remember that team vividly last year.
Yeah,
And Clark Lee said it. He said, we do everything now, NIL or recruiting wise, to get a W. To get a W. That's all it is. A win. Because as we looked at it, Vanderbilt was only picked to win 2.5 games this year. And they just beat Alabama. So
yeah.
LSU at 7. I don't know who LSU is. 1-0, 4-1. We find out who they are this week. Ole Miss limps in there at 5-1 overall, but their one loss is to Kentucky. I don't really know. We know who Kentucky is. But we don't really know who Ole Miss is. So I'm just wondering how they fare against, continue to fare against those mid-level SEC teams. For now, I got them at 6. It's a good spot. Obviously, Tennessee drops. I dropped Tennessee obviously below Texas A&M. I can't put them above because Texas A&M just beat them. And Texas
Yep.
A&M right now is a team I talked about at the beginning of the year, and I said I like Elko at Texas A&M. Elko right now is up for Coach of the Year. He's up for SEC Coach of the Year. I like this team. Connor Wigman added a lot of really good stuff to the passing game. They were running the ball at will. This is a dangerous Texas A&M team going forward. If Texas A&M gets their crap together against Notre Dame, which I don't think is a great team, this A&M team is undefeated right now and probably ranked in the top 5.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about? I mean, what do you think about Texas A&M?
I think you're absolutely right, man. I think they're right there. Like, who had them making the playoff this year? Like, the only other guaranteed, I don't know if you can even call it a guaranteed loss that they have on their schedule right now is Texas at the
Yeah.
end. I don't know who else is going to beat them. So they're possibly sitting there with one loss, just like Alabama, just like Georgia, just like Tennessee, just like Ole Miss. The teams we had making the playoff are actually making a run at the playoff. So who knows, man? We're just going to have to watch it play out because I think it's going to be chaotic.
Yeah. I got Texas A&M at 4. I got Alabama at 3 still. I think that I got to see him one more time, man. I mean, I give everybody a little bit of a bye in that facet, but I don't know. I got Alabama at 3. Georgia comes in at 2. Recovers a little bit, 2-1, 4-1. I think they're solidly right there. I think a rematch at Alabama, after seeing that Alabama team and after seeing us win 3 quarters, I think we win that game on a neutral field. That's why I have them there. And then Texas is sitting there at 1 just because I can't disprove it. They've played nobody. They beat Mississippi State and got tested for a few quarters. But they're there until further notice. I mean, they're the number 1 team in the nation right now. I won't go into the AP because we don't have time tonight, but the AP is an absolute joke. I don't know how some of those teams hop Georgia. Georgia doesn't move at all. But please tell me what big wins sufficely made Oregon and some of these teams hop Georgia. I have no idea, man. You want to chime in on that before we move on? Because for me,
I'm with you. I'm with you. I don't understand how Oregon jumps us. Ohio State, number 2, fine with that. Fine with that because they were the highest ranked, team that's up there right now at the beginning of the year. But yeah, Oregon and who's number 4?
Penn State.
Penn State, yes, please. Come on, man. Like, that's a joke. I mean, I'm not saying I need Georgia to be in the top 5, top 2, top 3. I really don't because all we need them to do is make the playoff and then win 4 games, 3 games maybe. and then that's it. That's all we need them to do. Like I don't care if they're ranked 15. Well, I guess I do because we need them to be at least kind of high. But anyway, like that's hilarious. Like I know it doesn't matter, and this is just more of a reason why it doesn't matter. I think that's
Right.
why they just throw these teams up there because who the hell cares?
Exactly. No, you're 100% right on that. Let's pick these games, Fish. We've been very fortunate tonight, man. I have not lost any power or anything. Let's try to get through this last little bit, man, and carry on our way. We'll start in the SEC. We'll do it a little different tonight. We'll pick our SEC games, leave the Georgia game to the end, and then we'll hit all of our other bigger games around the SEC. But let's pick it real quick. I know you don't have this sheet, Fish, so I'll give you as much info as possible. South Carolina 3-2 at Alabama, number 7 Alabama 4-1. Alabama's got 21 on them at home. This is a 12 o'clock game. ABC. Who you got?
Ooh, 12 o'clock game. Bama's 90% 90% win chance on the matchup predictor. I'm looking at the ESPN app right now. Give me Bama, but
Yeah.
I don't think they're either going to destroy South Carolina because they're going to be fired up after that loss to Vandy, or either it's going to be another close game.
12 o'clock game is the only thing that's got me. Those 12 o'clock games are tough.
They are the traps.
Yeah, the trap games, man. I think Alabama's going to be pissed. Jalen Miller's going to be pissed. I mean, Malachi Moore threw a freaking straight up 2-year-old temper tantrum at the end, kicked the ball, slammed it. I mean, he kicked the ball. He kicked the ball down the field.
Okay.
Either way, man, it was trashy and childish, but they're going to be pissed, man. And so that Malachi Moore doesn't, get admitted to some psych ward, I hope they cover. But I got Alabama in this one. Number 21, Missouri. Real quick, UMass. UMass is 1-5. What a bounce back game, right? I got Missouri here. 27.5 for Missouri, though. This offense, can it cover 27.5 against UMass, Fish?
Oh no, UMass coming in at a whopping 1-5. No, they won't cover. They're not good enough. I don't think they won't cover 27.
Yeah. Ole Miss number 9 at LSU. This is where we talked about. We'll find out if whoever loses this game for me before we pick it. Whoever loses this game is the pretender for me. Whoever loses this game is a pretender. This is a 7:30 game, ABC. Right now, Ole Miss is a 3.5-point favorite. I think that'll get down to about 3 by Saturday. Who you got, Fish?
I think Ole Miss isn't going to have any problem scoring. I think it's going to be whether Ole Miss's defense can stop LSU from scoring. I think that's what it's going to come down to. Ole Miss, because LSU's without Harold Perkins too. That was their best defensive player, so he's not playing. So I'm taking Ole Miss by touchdown.
Saturday night in Death Valley. The only reason I'm not picking Ole Miss. Saturday, Death Valley, 7:30. LSU's on a bye week where Ole Miss was punching it out with South Carolina last week. Give me LSU. I don't usually pick LSU. I don't like Brian Kelly, but I do think LSU's onto something with this. 7:30, ABC, prime time. Give me LSU. This is a tight, close game. Could go into overtime. These are two defenses that are not as good as I thought they were. Give me LSU. Vanderbilt, Kentucky. This is going to be a 7:45 game in Kentucky. Kroger Field. Right now, crazy, right? Can Kentucky score 14 points against anybody? They got Kentucky and 14.
I'm gonna have the triple screen on my TV, or either I'm gonna have my tablet, my computer, and my TV on because I'm gonna be watching Florida, Tennessee, Ole Miss, LSU, and Vandy now. Vandy, Kentucky has become a game that I want to see now. It's must see TV whenever Vandy takes the field until they lose again.
You think so? Who you got?
I'm going Vandy. Dude, Vandergriff, I still like him. I still wish that he had gotten an opportunity to hit Georgia, but I'm not going to throw him out that fast. He hasn't really lived up to the expectations, I think, this year. he has improved Kentucky's offense a little, but I don't know. Kentucky's defense is going to be the only thing keeping him in this game. I think it's going to be close, but I'm taking Van.
I got the Fighting Vandergriffs, man, but not Kentucky Vandergriffs. I got the Fighting Vandies, man, the Diego Pavias, man. I'm a Vandy believer.
I
Belieber,
am now
Bieber, be yeah,
until
give me
they lose.
Pavia.
I'm
Yeah,
riding that train.
exactly. I want to see Vanderbilt go to hey man, Vandy for SEC championship. Georgia Vandy SEC championship. Let's do
Let's
it.
do it, dude. Let's do it.
I don't think they have a problem beating Kentucky. I'm just going to be honest with you. If that offense does what that offense did against Kentucky, that they don't have a problem. Penn State, number 4 Penn State gets their first test, goes into USC, who's been a utter disappointment so far. But it's a 3:30 game, CBS. Penn State just hopped up into the 4 spot, right? Might be too high for them. It might be a little bit of a little uneasiness. They're getting where they're getting their due, right? This USC team is a little pissed. They haven't really done much when it comes time to winning a big game. But they're winning the big games, but they're losing the small games, in my opinion. Who do you think gets this game? USC, Penn State. Right now, Penn State's got 5.5, which is weird.
Where
As
is
far
the
as
game?
5.5, I usually don't see 5. I think 6.5.
Oh, it's at USC.
Yep.
At USC. So I'm going to be cheering for USC. I hope they win. I'm picking USC, picking the upset. Top 4
Yep.
is too high for Jeff Franklin.
Franklin away from Beaver Stadium in the whiteout. 3:30 game. Pissed off USC team. This is prime time for them to they win the big games, man. They've lost the small games and won the big games this year. Give me USC. I don't just pick the upsets, but I do think that this team thrives on the big games.
Is that an 11:30 kick local time?
3:30, so it'll be a 12:30 kick.
Oh, 12:30, my bad. Not 11:30, yeah. So that's going to have something to do with it, too. Penn State might be a little jet lagged, a little tired coming in. That's a hard turnaround right there. So that won't be working in their favor. So, yeah, I'm taking USC.
The number 5 team in the nation per Dan Mullen, Pittsburgh. Have you seen Dan Mullen's top 25? It's a joke. Pitt, number 22. I give Pitt I give them the benefit of the doubt. They're 5-0 right now, 1-0 in ACC play. Cal coming off. Oh my gosh, Cal just blew it, man. They blew it against Miami. Blew it. But I still look at Cal as this is a game, man. This is Pitt and the ACC. They're only going to get Cal and Clemson, so this is one of the ones they got to get. So who you got, man?
Cal's going to be just disheveled from last week. I think they gave up that game. I don't know how they lost that game. I watched that game. Like, I love prime time, what used to be Pac-12 after dark. That's some of the best football, man, I'm telling you. But that game was ugly, and Cal had Miami dead to rights and just let them creep back in the game, man. I think that just demotivated their whole season. Maybe not the players themselves, but I think just that's a bad omen for things to come for them. Plus, they got to come all the way back over here to play Pitt. It's a home game for Pitt. So, yeah, I think Pitt covers.
I like Pitt. I like Pitt in this one. I'll tell you why, because I have Pitt and Clemson in the ACC championship. So I don't think Miami is not. They're not. They're playing in a very weak conference. Very weak conference. Miami is not a good team. They're not a good team, man. I just don't know what they are sliding by. A Virginia Tech blown call, and you might could even say some home cooking in Cal for the other direct. I don't know. I got Pitt. Hopping back over into SEC play, Tennessee, Florida. Now this is the game I always circle because Florida always plays Tennessee so well. But this year it's in Knoxville, it's in Neyland. Tennessee gets back home where they desperately need to be because for no offense showed up against Texas A&M. No defense showed up against Texas A&M. I'm sorry, not Texas A&M. That was actually who did Tennessee lose to last week? There's so many upsets,
Arkansas,
bro. Arkansas,
they were.
Jesus.
It's
It
hard to
was
keep up with.
3-0 for like 2 quarters. There was so many upsets. They need to be back in Knoxville, need to be back in Neyland. Tennessee, Florida. Florida always plays them tough. Here's the thing. This is a really important game for two people. Number one, for Josh Heupel, because they came out, everybody was on the Tennessee bandwagon. They're like, this is the team that could possibly shock the SEC and win the national championship. They have the offense to do it. They have a defense now. If they lose 2 straight, Heupel starts to get some chatter, right? If Florida wins, they go 4-2, and all of a sudden, is Napier safe? I'll let you call it. Who's going to win, and is Napier safe if he wins this game?
I think he's a little safer, but no, I don't. I think Florida's done with him. I think the fan base, the donors, the powers that be, the whoever's that control the NIL funding and all that, I think they're done. So, I mean, short of winning the SEC championship, I don't think anything keeps him. And I don't think anything keeps his job. Tennessee, I think, got exposed last week. I think Arkansas provided a pretty good blueprint for how to slow down that offense. They were on the road, they were in Arkansas. Arkansas had the stripe, the red and the white fan sections. They had it going on. Like, that atmosphere was great. Like, they were legit. But I think Florida's trash, and I think UCF is not as good as we thought they were, because I think Colorado beat UCF on the road.
Yeah.
So and Colorado got thrashed by Nebraska, almost got beat by North Dakota State. So come on, give me Tennessee by 21.
Yeah, and we don't even know if this game. Oh, sorry, this is in Tennessee. I don't know. We don't know if this game's going to be played. Yeah, Tennessee, too much. Neyland, Knoxville. It's a 7:00 game, nighttime in Neyland.
Tennessee fans,
give me Tennessee. 15.5 points. It'll be loud. They know that they got to be up for Florida because they always play down to Florida. You give me Tennessee. Easy win for Tennessee in that one. Yeah, very easy win. Next one, last one in the SEC. Before we pick the Red River rivalry, man. You got Texas, Oklahoma, right? So Oklahoma 4-1, 1-1 in the SEC. Texas going. It's got them as the away team, but it'll definitely be in a neutral site. But ABC 3:30. Texas is 14-point favorites. What do you think about that one, Fish?
They're in Dallas. I don't know. I think Oklahoma's defense is good enough. Who's playing in that game, Manning or Ewers?
I think Ewers is going to be good enough to come back. Okay. I haven't heard, but I'm thinking. I think.
So, yeah, I'm glad. I was hoping Sark wouldn't take his starting job away from him, because Arch did look pretty good. I hate to admit it, but he did. I didn't want him to look good, but he's looked pretty good, man. He's looked pretty good. But I think Oklahoma's defense is legit. I think they were on the ropes on the road to Auburn. I think Auburn handed them that game. So, it's hard to really judge them. I think Oklahoma's offense is going to be what lets them down. And I think Texas pulls away, probably wins by 2 touchdowns.
So 14, yeah.
14, yes, that's the line, yeah.
Oklahoma last year pulled this victory. It shouldn't have happened. Ewers has this thing against Oklahoma where he just doesn't play his best game. And I do think that this Brent Venables defense it didn't show up last year against Texas, right? I think it shows up this year, but I don't think they're gonna beat Texas. I don't think they're gonna beat them. But I think this defense showing up will make it interesting. I don't think it's gonna be as
Oklahoma
as high
doesn't have
scoring.
Dylan Gabriel.
Right. I don't think it's gonna be as high scoring of a game. I think you don't have the Oklahoma, you don't have Levy, who was calling plays out of he called one of the best games of his career last year in that win versus Texas last year. So I don't think it's a high scoring game, and that That doesn't bode well for Oklahoma because I just don't. I like this Hawkins kid. I like this newness in this role he's playing with their new quarterback spot. But I just think, man, you gotta. This is a big game for him. It's a big stage. I could eat my words, but I think Texas does not cover. I think this game's close, but I think Texas wins a close one. I think Texas gets exposed. But here's the thing: anything could happen because something that's going against Texas is you can't really look at Michigan as a big game now. You can't look at it as a big game. So, what is the quality win that Texas has? This is going to be their first opponent that might actually hit them in the mouth. And so, you got to wonder, is Texas going to be ready for that? Are they going to come out like Alabama did against Vanderbilt? But I do think Oklahoma, if I'm having to go safe bet, I don't like it that I'm doing this, but I'm going to go with Texas. But I don't think Texas covers. And I'll just leave it at that, man. It's going to be a good game. It's going to be a really, to me, it's a very much a toss up. It's a coin flip this game because it's a good old fashioned defense versus offense thing. Because I don't think Oklahoma's offense is as good as it was last year, and I think the defense of Oklahoma will be much more prepared than they were last year. At least they've shown it. I like what I saw in the defense against Tennessee.
If Oklahoma gets down somehow by more than 14, are they able to come back? I don't think so.
No, it's over. It's over. All right, last two games. Big one, game day in up there in Phil Knight, Nikeville, Outson Stadium, University of Oregon.
Did you see Oregon's uniforms last week?
Yeah, crazy, right?
Man, those things were sharp, dude. Yeah. I love those things. They look so good,
bro.
And it's for a really good cause too. But like, they look real good. That's my favorite thing about Oregon is Nike and Phil Knight and all the uniforms. Yeah. Never wear the same uniform.
So much money, bro. So much money. 5-0. I think they moved Oregon up there to make this. You know, we talked about the AP earlier. I think this was all applause just to get more TV ratings. I think that's why you saw Oregon jump Georgia. You get a 2 versus a 3. Man, this is a really good game. It looks tight. The only reason why I think Ohio State is really looked at as can they pull this victory off is because it's in Oregon. I mean, that is a incredibly loud environment because that stadium is just weird.
It is.
It's a 7:30 game, so you don't have to worry about this crazy mess of a 12:30 or a 3. You know, for them it's a what 4:30 game. So 7:30 game, NBC. Yeah. So Oregon, Ohio State, OSU is 3 right now. I think that gets under 3 by Saturday. Who you got, Fish?
Man, give me Oregon. Quack, quack. Ducks fly together. Like all the flying V, give me all of it. You know, I don't know what uniforms they're going to wear, but I know they're going to be sharp. They're going to be up for this game. Plus, I get to hear Mike Tirico and Todd Blackledge calling the game. I'm so excited. I love Todd Blackledge. This is his second year working for Peacock. He used to work for ESPN. He used to call all the mid-level or like the second tier SEC games with Sean McDonough. You know, the guy who does it with Greg McElroy this year, who called our game, the Georgia Auburn game, just in case you didn't know. I'm sorry.
He's getting to be the Gary Danielson of my life, dude. McElroy.
I am not a fan of Sean McDonough. Like, no offense. No, you're right.
Neither one of them.
He's trying to do like more of an analytical thing, and he needs to stop because he's really pessimistic. He's like very glass half empty, and I don't like when Georgia, like Auburn would drive, Auburn would get a few first downs, and man, he would just dredge up some crap. Like he even mentioned Mark Richt. I'm like, man, come on. Mark Richt hasn't been our coach in 6 years. I detest people that still feel the need to bring up Richt in a non-positive way. Anyway, I'm getting off track. I had to go on a rant. I'm sorry. But give me Oregon by 2.
Yeah. Give me Oregon, man. I like the Ducks. I don't think Ohio State's looked good. I've seen more of Oregon this year that has looked promising. Oregon had some iffy games coming out of the box too, you know, but I think Ohio State has too, and Ohio State's got to go to Oregon. The difference for me is Outson Stadium, and if it was neutral site, I'd probably pick Ohio State because they've both showed signs of you could venture out there to say that all top 5 teams, barring Texas, because Texas hasn't played anybody, have shown signs of are they the top? Are they a top 5 team? And I think you can include Georgia in that. You can include Ohio State in that. You can include Oregon in that. Oregon and Ohio State just didn't happen to get a loss in those areas. Didn't play in Alabama.
Dude, there's not a bad seat in the house, man. Tickets are going for $235. Let's go. Since you can't go to the Georgia game this weekend, let's go to the other side of the country.
I can't even fly out, bro. Only thing I can do is hop on Milton and see you later. It's not going that direction though. I got Oregon. Man. In the last game, Georgia, Mississippi State, in Athens, 4:15 start. Right now the line is this is high, man. 34. Georgia. 34.
Ain't no way we're covering 34. Not
Trap
unless
game.
our offense gets something done.
Trap game.
Our offense is going to have to like just click, wake up. Here we go. Let's run it. Like here we are. We're awake. You know, Bobo, turn him loose. Like let him go. Like I don't know how confident he is. Just let him go. Let him throw the ball. Call some. You know, some. I don't know. Some RPOs. Like let Beck. You know, give him some leeway. Give him a lot more to think about. I don't know. Like we need to get up on them, but we're not. I mean, I don't think we are. That's not our trend this year. That's not what we do. You know, we're keep it close in the first half. You know, give all the fans, you know, heart trouble, more gray hairs, whatever the case may be, and then we'll come back out in the second half like a whole new team. Like we got to put a whole game together, man, or else we're not going to get anywhere close to 34.
Yeah,
on them, we're not going to win by 34. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah. I got Georgia. I like 74 degrees at game time. I like that.
Yeah, that would be so comfortable.
I think we don't cover that not because of the fact we can't cover that. I think we're going to be able to run the ball against Mississippi State. Kirby's not going to do that. He's just not. I think we're going to be able to run the ball successfully. And if we do this, it's going to be because Mississippi State is going to turn the ball over. I mean, if we get 34, it's going to be because we're put into some good situations defensively, and that can happen. I mean, Mississippi State throws the ball a ton, and that could put us in some situations. But I would say that we don't cover. Georgia wins the game, and let's just hope we don't overlook Mississippi State. I mean, obviously Georgia has a better team, and should win the game very handily, and then that sets up Georgia Texas the following weekend. But my hope is Georgia wins, but my hope is that I get to see the game. So that's
I hope so too,
kind of my hope, man. Yeah. Well, man, Fish, it's been good. We got the whole broadcast in, man. So that's really good. So yeah, man, it's going to be a great weekend of football. I hope we all get a chance to check it out. I need to find a generator so I can, but more importantly, probably find a generator just so we can eat and have, I don't know, just some power to charge some phones and things of that nature and communicate. But on a serious note, though, as we sign off tonight, go ahead, Fish. You there?
My Wi-Fi waited till the last second to cut.
No, you're there. I got you now. You got me?
Yeah, I can hear you a little bit.
Gotcha. Yeah. So
on like my screen is freezing. Like I'm moving, but you're sitting still.
Yeah. On a serious note, I will say as we end the broadcast tonight, everybody in Florida and then South Georgia, obviously too, and anybody that may get some of this hurricane, definitely right now for Florida, as we bear down and get ready for tomorrow and the storm drawing close, praying for safety for everybody in the state of Florida, as well as anybody in the path of this hurricane. I hope everything comes out right. Things can be replaced, but lives cannot. So pray for safety for you and your family during this time. Fish, I hope everything goes well with you as well. I hope it doesn't turn and come up your way. Hope you can get out scot-free of this one. But, man, enjoyed it tonight. And hopefully our goal is to be able to be safe next week and be able to cover the Georgia-Texas game. We'll see. We might be using a generator, and I don't know. We go back to rabbit ears with tinfoil on it. But on behalf of myself, Adam Fisher, we miss you tonight, Rich Man.
Yes, sir.
Georgia, Mississippi State, 4:15 Saturday. You guys have a great week and a great weekend. Stay safe and go Dogs.
Go Dogs.